Hi guys, this is MissAlyFortune with a Lunalite Raidraptor Tri-Brigade deck profile. Um, Lunalights are one of my favorite decks, and obviously since Tiger has left this mortal coil, I have been in a sad place with them, but Tri-Brigades enable them just as well as they enable pretty much anything. So I figured I would play around with splashing those together along with Raidraptors, which are just such a good package to help that rank 4 engine that the Lunalights really want to be. And the best part of this version of the deck is I do, as you can already see, get to play with the fusions. So, or at least two of the fusions. Really one of the fusions, but we will get to that. So without further ado, I figure I'll just go through the main deck, the extra deck. The side deck's really just going to depend on the format, so I'm not a format expert. Go to someone who is format experty and they will help you with the side deck. So let's go. Starting off, we're leading with the Lunalite that kind of enables everything, which would be 3 Kaleidowchick. Every time you summon a Kaleidowchick, you get the chance to change her name, which isn't the important part of that effect. The important part of the effect is you dump whatever you want to change her name to as cost. So this is a great way to get your Yellow Marten into the grave. This can also get Panther Dancer into the grave if you are at the point where you can afford to just dump her for the follow-up fusion play, which comes in importantly with the next card in the Lunalite package, which is Lunalite Wolf. We're playing 2 of those. Wolf, I think, is super underrated, especially for this deck profile. I saw another deck profile running 1 of her, and it's just so helpful to get her into the hand or to have her in the hand. She's a great target for Yellow Marten, she's a great target for Zephyros, so just getting her on the field as a pendulum is super important. I do not remember the last time I bothered summoning her, so it's not super relevant, but definitely as a pendulum, she serves her purpose very well, whether it's using it just to bounce her or to actually use her effect and summon your fusion monster. Yellow Marten, I'm only playing 1 of. You can search the hell out of her, and really you want her in the graveyard anyway, and there's so many ways to dump her. Whether that's Kaleidowchick, whether that's Foolish Burial. Once she's in the graveyard, you can special summon her by bouncing a Lunalite from your field, which you can bounce Kaleidowchick. There's an easy way to get Kaleidowchick back out on the field in this deck natively, but you can also just bounce Wolf and you lose nothing, since Wolf is just a spell card effectively, and you can replace her on the field whenever you need. She also does have the effect where if she is sent to the grave by a card effect, so it cannot be for cost, so sadly Kaleidowchick doesn't trigger it, but she can give you a card to your hand, like a Lunalite Spell or Trap. Sadly, Lunalite Perfume, for whatever reason, is not a Lunalite Spell or Trap, which is painful, but I do run at least 1 target in this deck. It's not super optimal. I debate taking it out every day, but for now it's still in the deck, so you will see that in a minute. The final Lunalite wrapping up the package is Lunalite Emerald Bird. It's mostly just another Lunalite name, honestly, although if it is normal special summoned, you can throw a Lunalite card from your hand to the graveyard, which sometimes is important, and you get a free draw out of it. So it can cycle a card out of your hand. Sometimes that matters, especially if you happen to draw the bricky trap card that I alluded to a minute ago. So definitely not the most important to this deck, but also she has a spot here. She earns her place. Now on to the Tri-Brigade package. This starts off with 3 copies of Fractal. Fractal is your starter. It is also the most expensive card in the package, and it's the one you need 3 of. So I was actually waiting on this one to do the stack profile. Thankfully, my 3rd one came in, so it dumps one of the tri-types, but that really doesn't matter too much outside of its own archetype. It has to be level 3 or lower, so Sadly, you can't use it to bin Yellow Martin. I would love that, but not a thing. But it can bin your other Tri-Brigades, which just we're going to throw out that we have the 3 Nervile and 2 Kit. So really, you're typically going to go from Fractile to Kit to Nervile. That's just so you can get more bodies in the graveyard, more fodder for the machine. And the Nervile will get you to one of your 3 Karas. You probably could run 2 Karas. I'm currently running 3. I don't really have anything else to replace it with right now, but you probably can afford to run 2 because you really do search it. But even if it ends up in your hand, it serves its purpose. It does what it wants to do. So definitely, you get your Karas, you special summon it. This is where you start getting your Link monsters into the mix. So finally, in terms of monsters, we have a Blackwing Raidraptor package. So this is Zephyros the Elite, which often you're going to want to summon from your Y-Strix once you special summon that. If it gets into your hand, there's still ways to get it into the grave. It's not the worst thing ever. You also play a Blackwing Chris the Crack of Dawn, which through your multiple uses of Force Strixes, you can get this into your hand. As long as you have Zephyros on the field, then it's a free special summon, and then obviously 2 level 4 bodies. You can do so much with 2 level 4 bodies. Speaking of level 4 bodies, we have Raider's Wing and Singing Lanius. These both serve functionally a similar purpose, where if you have 4 Strix on the field, you can go ahead and either Singing Lanius, it's a free body. Raider's Wing, you remove a material from your 4 Strix, which does not matter at all. And then you get to special summon it for free. It is an extender, it is very important, and you play 2 so that you could always have one to pull out of the deck, say you already had one in the hand, etc., etc. It's important to have 2 different names. And then miscellaneously, I am playing Bis After Curtain Raiser. This is 1000% just a free level 4 body. I was looking for something to fill out the deck. There are some instances where you have the Kaleidochick and you would also really just like another level 4 body, and your Yellow Martin doesn't have anything to bounce, so this will get you that level 4 body first turn. Obviously after that it's not as good, but worst case scenario is discard fodder. Sorry. And then finally, because this is a Tri-Brigade, and because we do play Simorgh, we do play 1 Mist Apex Avian. It is obviously a summon at the end of the turn. It's a free Omni Negate, so it is definitely part of the payoff of this whole series of packages. I don't play the Barrier Statue. I just am not a huge fan of it. I think it should be banned. I don't think that much easy access to a floodgate is ever great. So hopefully it gets banned in the future. But also, I don't play that many winds. A lot of this deck is actually dark, so it's not ideal for me either. So it's ultimately, I would rather have a negate that I can actively consider using when I need it. So we do have a fair few spells in this deck. We have 3 Fire Formation Tanky. This is a staple. This is honestly what I thought they were going to hit to nerf Tri-Brigade Zodiac. I'm glad they didn't, but I'm still expecting it to get hit. It's just a very easy way to get your Beast Warriors, which for this deck is super important, because all of the Lunalights are Beast Warriors, but also, importantly, Fractal, your Tri-Brigade starter, is a Beast Warrior. So you can get him, whatever package you're not in your opening hand, this gets you there. Also, because it is a continuous spell, it is a great thing to be able to bounce with Zephyros if you don't have a Lunalight Wolf around. So we also play 3 Lunalight Perfume. As I mentioned, there's a space between Luna and Light, so this is not searchable, but it's really, really important. From your hand, when you use it, it is a Monster Reborn, which is fantastic. And when it is in your grave, if you discard a card and banish it, you can then add a Lunalight to your hand. That is so much advantage, that is so... not even advantage necessarily, because resurrecting is 1-for-1, and then obviously banishing it from the grave, you still have to discard a card. So you stay neutral, but it is so important to just get more Lunalights in play and get more level 4 bodies on the field. So this serves the deck really well. We play 1 Rank Up Magic Soul Shave Force. This is searched off of your Wise Strix, and you use it to turn a Force Strix into a CDI. That is what it does. It is great for the opening board. So it costs half your life points, so you are certainly starting from a disadvantage, but a CDI really does balance that out. So you play a Monster Reborn. This is, once again, you need more bodies for the field, you need more meat for the grinder, and Monster Reborn gets a level 4 back on onto the field to go either into a link play, to go into another Xyz. It's just generically really useful. So there is a Foolish Burial in here. There are a couple of things that you do want in the graveyard, notably the Yellow Martin, so this gets those there. You can also send a Tri-Brigade to the graveyard to get the Tri-Brigade Karas to your hand. Sorry. Of the packages in this deck, that is the one I'm still learning the most, since obviously it's the newest. I play 2 Foolish Burial goods. Either you can throw a Perfume into the grave, or you can throw the trap card that we will talk about in a minute. But either way, there's definitely things you want in the grave, so Foolish Burial goods gets them there without any other working around or trying to plan out some kind of discard. Looks like the camera changed positions. It's because it probably did, because I thought I messed up my deck building. Thankfully, I just threw in an extra card, which was a 4th copy of this card. And as much as Tri-Brigade Revolt is an amazing trap card, you probably only need 3 of them. Honestly, you could probably go less than 3, but I really think it's a busted trap card. Nothing I could add to this deck was doing more than this does. I had Parallel Exceed, 2 of them in this deck at some point, but Parallel Exceed really works best when you have a deck that has a link 1 to get into easily. Trap Tricks works really well for it. Here, the lowest level of link monster we have is link 2, and you can't always get into that, and then you just have a Parallel Exceed staring you in the face. So now the only other traps I'm running currently are technically 2 bricks. We have Lunalight Serenade Dance, which is what you would dump from Foolish Burial goods if you already have your Lunalight Perfume, or it's something you can add to your hand from Martin. It's not going to do a whole lot when you do that, but at the same time you can either discard it, you can set it. It's still advantage, so I kind of still want to play it. It might not be optimal, but I've never claimed to be the most optimal deck builder. And if I could get one more Lunalight card in here so I feel less like I'm just playing a Tri-Brigade deck, I'll take that. And the last card, which technically is a brick, you can also just set it if you draw it, and you'll see why, is the Gravedigger's Trap Hole. In a meta with a lot of hand traps running around, it's super useful. And you'll see, obviously, you can guess why we're playing it if you know anything about trap tricks and trap holes. But yeah, that is the extent of the main deck. So now we can actually move into the extra deck, which has 4 of the 5 extra deck summoning mechanics represented, which I think is pretty cool in this day and age, just because you don't tend to get that many. If I could have fit a synchro in here somewhere, I probably would have. So I'm going to lead with the fusions, and we're going to play Leo Dancer. So Lunalite Leo Dancer is a Towers. It is great for doing a whole lot of damage. It is great for a big old 2 attacks to just destroy your enemies. But even first turn, having the towers on the field is never a bad thing. Now, to get to it, you need Panther Dancer, and we play her. There is no way to summon her because she requires Cat Dancer, and we're not climbing up the ranks like that. Instead, you can dump Panther Dancer with Kaleido Chick, and from the grave, you can use her as fusion material with Lunalight Wolf. So the play there is, assuming that you already have your Kaleido Chick and your Yellow Marten in play, you can use the Kaleido Chick effect, and you can dump Panther Dancer, then use the Wolf effect to banish Panther Dancer, Kaleido Chick, and Yellow Marten, and you summon your Leo. She is an amazing addition to an end board that is already pretty scary in this deck. So we will go into the Link monsters, and we start with Ystrix. This is a crucial point of your plays. You get to a level 4, you get to a 4 Strix. And your 4 Strix can then detach to bring a winged beast, which, as we already showed, we have a lot of extenders in our winged beasts, so you bring another one out, you can use them both to get into 4 Strix. And then from 4 Strix, you summon usually your Zephyros, unless it's in your hand, in which case you figure it out. But you can then use the Zephyros and any of your other level 4s. You have plenty in this deck to extend with. And you can get another 4 Strix, detach, and that triggers Ystrix to get your rank up magic. So that is how you get into the CDI portion of your final board. Now, in terms of Tri-Brigades, we are playing 1 Ferjit and 1 Bearbrum. So both of these are great for fixing hands, honestly. Just having built-in mulligans is super helpful for a deck that has, admittedly, a couple of bricks that you want to dig out of your deck as opposed to add to your hand. Ferjit, I would say, is a little more versatile in that, just because she's an extra draw and then a mulligan, as opposed to Bearbrum, where you're getting Revolt. And Revolt is great. So if you need Revolt specifically, if your board is just going to be so much better with Revolt by the end, you can use Bearbrum. But Ferjit also has the ability to special summon a level 4 from your hand, which is invaluable in this deck. There were several times where I could get, like, say my Yellow Marten didn't have anything to bounce, I bounce the Kaleido Chick, and then get my Ferjit out, and then I can still get Kaleido Chick back out, and then I get another Kaleido Chick dump. Super helpful. Generally, she's great at extending, and as long as you have a Karas, you can usually just get her out pretty free, especially if you got to the Karas by your fractile dumps. So definitely very useful. She's one of my favorite cards in the deck, honestly, but also Bearbrum definitely helps for the Revolt consistency. Assuming you get a lot out of your Tri-Brigade package, you can also go into Ancient Warrior Oath, which is just a bounce, and there's never a bad time to have a bounce on your field. So we also have Smorg, Bird of Sovereignty, which we have a lot of winged beasts, so this is really easy to get into. There are very few boards I've ever made with this deck that didn't get this onto the board and bring out Mist Valley Apex Avian. So very useful for your end boards. In terms of Tri-Brigade monsters, Tri-Brigade Rugal is one that I don't summon a lot, I'll be real. I'm sure he probably has purpose within the deck, being able to just like get an extra body on the field, potentially trigger Shurig during your opponent's turn. Not bad. It's just he's not something I go into very often. He's debatably cuttable, but for now he's in the build. I could honestly consider adding a second Shurig in replacing him. The main reason I don't, honestly, is right now Shurig's a $20 card. So I don't have a second one. I happened to pull this one. So if I update this deck, it will probably be to just replace Rugal with another Shurig. Because Shurig is very helpful, obviously, with the banishing on your opponent's turn. especially if you can just summon him with Revolt. So definitely worth running at least one, probably two. Speaking of running two, we run two Force Strix because you generally need one to get into your Wise Strix and then one to trigger your Wise Strix. So it's super worth having two. You're also going to debatably turn one into a CDI anyway, so very much worth in this deck. Also playing a Traptrix Rafflesia. Now, in opening hands, sometimes you can get to multiple rank 4s in your end board on turn 1. And we have Raider's Knight, and I'll just drop Raider's Knight here right now. And he's great for turn 2, obviously. He can turn into the big Arc Rebellion Dragon, and that's amazing for a turn 2 OTK. But he doesn't do a whole lot on turn 1, especially since if you use him to summon Arc Rebellion, he will destroy the Arc Rebellion at the end of your opponent's turn. So you don't get to your fun little OTK, you kind of need it to happen all at once. So Rafflesia is great for just getting on the board turn 1, you have access to Grave Diggers from your deck, and a lot of things activate in the hand or in the graveyard nowadays. So Gravediggers is usually live in most matchups, and if it's not, Rafflesia's a big bop, a big butt. So it's definitely one of the better generic rank 4s to just end a board on. I considered Abyss Dweller, and for a lot of metas, Abyss Dweller is great too. I just feel like right now I get more use out of Traptrix Rafflesia, and it's worth a trap that is still pretty good in the deck. And then finally, we do have the CDI. So the Cyber Dragon Infinity can be pulled in from the Soul Shave Force. And obviously, everyone knows how good Cyber Dragon Infinity is. It's an Omni Negate. So it's when you add it to a board that already usually has Mist Valley Apex Avian, which is another Omni Negate. Sometimes you have Traptrix Rafflesia, sometimes you have a big old Force Strix, and then usually either a Shurig or a wait to get into a Shurig. And then obviously our titular Leo Dancer, our best girl. You end up with some really intimidating and difficult to break boards, and that's why I love this deck. So I'm really glad Lunalight has a way to feel more viable these days. It's one of my favorite decks. I built pretty much the whole thing back when it was a rank 4 spam deck before they got rid of Tiger and made me really sad. And Konami, I know it's not reasonable. I know that Tiger's a bad thing to debatably bring into the meta again, but if you have it in your heart, I would love Tiger back to 1, please. But that is the deck profile. This, like I said, is a fun deck. It's a nice variation on Tri-Brigade. It's also not particularly cheap because it's Tri-Brigade, and because 3 Fractile and a Shurig is going to run you $80. But it is certainly worth checking out. If you have the cards, I definitely recommend giving it a shot. It's very fun, and being able to summon Leo again and just have her punch your enemy's face in is super nice. In fact, you have debatably 2 ways to, when going second, to do a whole lot of damage between Leo and between your Arc Rebellion. So it's a great deck for ending fights quick. But honestly, the deck also puts up great turn 1 boards. So very versatile, very fun. Definitely check it out. Thank you for watching. Feel free to like, subscribe, and all the other things. Until then, happy dueling.